The number of hoax calls in the last 10 years in the civil aviation industry was just around 120. But in the last 15 days, these numbers have ballooned and crossed more than 400. And these hoax calls are not just limited to the civil aviation sector now, it has also spread into the various other parts of tourism industry. And this has led to lot of losses and has caused lot of inconvenience to the tourists or the travelers in India, and overall has forced the whole industry into chaos. Hello and welcome to Unacademy IAS, a one-stop destination for all the English medium civil services aspirants. In this video, let's try and analyze what are the issues surrounding this concept, or let's say the menace of hoax bomb threats, and why the whole industry, that is a civil aviation industry, has fallen into chaos because of this. But before that, if you are interested in having a counseling session and getting your doubts addressed regarding your preparation strategy or what to do for the upcoming civil services examination, etc., all you need to do is fill in the application form. The link for which is given in the description below. Let me start the discussion. In the last 15 days, as mentioned earlier, the number of hoax calls has crossed more than 400, and there are no indications as of now that this particular threat or the hoax call menace is going to end very soon. It was initially limited to the civil aviation sector. Now it has in fact even spread to other areas of tourism, such as the hospitality, or let's say the hotels are also receiving lot of threats now. As a result of this, the government of India has basically stated that they'll be undertaking certain measures to address the issue of hoax threat. What are these measures? We'll understand in some time. But before that, what are the reasons why there's a sudden spike in the hoax threats or the hoax calls which are being made? The reasons behind this, many of these particular reasons, when analyzed, you will realize that these reasons have no connection to national security whatsoever. Although some of the experts or some of the observers are saying there can be a terrorism angle as well, but as of now, Government of India has not clearly stated if there is any terrorist activity or the terrorist hands behind the rising menace of hoax call threats. But the impact is very simple. The whole industry of civil aviation, the tourism sector, and the hospitality sector is spiraling into chaos. For example, in case of civil aviation itself, because of these number of hoax call threats, many of these calls have been cancelled. Many of these, the travel operations which are supposed to be conducted by the civil aviation companies, or let's say the airliners, have been stopped, have been postponed. There has been a delay in providing the services. As a result of all of this, the losses in the civil aviation sector as of now in the last 15 days is said to be in the range of 1200 to 1400 crore rupees. And if this menace is not controlled, if these calls continue to take place and the operations will continue to be disturbed, the number of losses or the amount of losses incurred by the sector is expected to further increase, which is expected to have a huge impact on the civil aviation industry. And mind you, the civil aviation industry in the recent times has been facing a lot of issues. There was initially pandemic. After that, even though we recovered from the pandemic, the traffic, air traffic did not increase, did not recover up to the expected level. Many of these companies incurred losses, and this is a booming time for them. Booming time in the sense, this is the year end, and the number of travelers, because of festivals, because of the trips they want to take in the year end duration, etc., the number of travelers is very, very high. And this is the time the civil aviation companies want to make a lot of profits by providing a lot of services. But because of these kinds of activities, because of the hoax bomb threats, their operations are getting disturbed, and this is actually leading to losses. Now, some of you might be thinking, sir, when there is a hoax bomb threat, what is going to happen in the beginning? And if there is a threat call like this, why do you say that the civil aviation companies will incur losses? Let me address the first question. Initially, whenever a hoax threat call is made, although I'm using the term call here, many of these threats which have been registered in the recent times, which have led to disruption in the services in recent times, are essentially the posts which have been put in various social media platforms. And because of the spread of technology, because the messages will keep on being sent from one system to another system, the hoax threats have basically got circulated at a very faster pace, which has led to panic amongst the travelers. But essentially, what generally happens is, once a hoax threat call is made like this, initially there is a committee formed. There is a committee to address or basically identify whether this hoax threat call which has been made, is it valid, and what is the severity of this particular threat. The basic committee consists of the representatives from the civil aviation company, or basically the company in which airliner has been pointed out in the threat. It will have representatives from the operating airport. It will have representatives from BCAS, the Bureau of Civil Aviation and Security. It will also have representatives from CISF. So this committee will assess the severity of the bomb threat, and then they will take a call whether should we ask the aeroplane to land in the nearest airport. And once they assess the severity, they will simply send a message to the airliner, that is the aeroplane which is there in the mid-air, to basically land in the nearest airport, and thereafter the checks are done. Basically, the whole aeroplane is checked thoroughly. Now, some of you will say, sir, what if the aeroplane is yet to take off? You gave an example where the aeroplane is there in the mid-air. What if the aeroplane is yet to take off? In such cases, the aeroplane is vacated, all the people, all the passengers are moved out, and this aeroplane is taken to a safety place, and again, thorough checks are conducted. But in either cases, I hope you understand, in either cases, lot of other operations which are not supposed to be conducted will be conducted now. The security apparatus will become active. If it is mid-air, it has to land at a particular airport, so landing charges have to be paid. If you are taking this aeroplane on lease basis, for example, it is a Boeing aeroplane, you'll have to spend thousands of dollars on rental basis every day. Now, because of the hoax threat call, you'll have to pay landing charges. The rental charges on the aeroplane is an addition. You'll have to basically provide for, let's say, the passengers to be staying in a hotel now. If these passengers had a connecting flight, there is a disruption there also. You'll have to bear the burden of that. This aeroplane was supposed to reach the airport and carry the passengers back, or basically take the passenger to another city. Those services will be disrupted. So if you put together all of these, basically it will lead to additional expenditure for the civil aviation company. And as a result of this, the overall operational expenditure increases, but on the other side, they are not able to generate revenues. And that's a precise reason I said the losses which have been incurred by the civil aviation companies in the last 15 days itself, because of such hoax threat calls, have increased, have gone up beyond 1,000 crore rupees. Estimates are 1,200 to 1,400 crore rupees. Now, this is essentially the process, or let's say what will be done whenever there is a hoax call threat, the committee formation, and why there is a losses incurred by the aeroplane companies whenever such threat is actually taken as a serious threat, and the following operations are conducted. Now, like I said, there is a rising threat of these hoax calls. And if you're wondering, sir, what is the security doing in India? Right? Why are we not able to track all of this? What is the issue here? According to the latest survey and even the information provided by Government of India, most of these threats are done using digital technology such as a VPN, virtual private networks. And even if you basically go back and try to search what is the origin of this particular threat, it will basically show that this threat has originated in some other part of the world, such as, let's say, European part or maybe another part of the world. And that is one of the reasons why the Government of India says it is very difficult to find out the origin and basically take action within very specific period of time. Now, what should be the solution? What should we do? The Government of India has basically put forward certain measures that they want to undertake in the coming days. Point number one, if these threats are posted in social media platforms, if somebody will post that this aeroplane number so-and-so, origin place is this, landing place is this, and this is a flight time, there is a bomb in that. If this kind of message is posted in the social media platform, such accounts should be deactivated. And not just this, the government is asking the social media platforms to share all the details of the people, or let's say the person who is operating the account. In fact, Government of India has also stated that if the social media platforms or the social media companies do not abide by these guidelines, that is, do not deactivate the account as soon as possible, do not keep a check on such accounts, do not provide information to the government regarding the people who are operating such accounts, in such cases, the protection that is provided to social media companies under the Information Technology Act shall be withdrawn and they shall be held liable in such cases. Essentially, the argument here is, whenever you post something on the social media platform, the company is not liable to be held as a culprit here, because they are simply or merely providing a platform to you. If you paste something, if you write something, if you post something, if it is wrong, if it is illegal, if it is defamatory, then you are held responsible, not the person, not the company which has provided the platform. But now Government of India is saying, if the social media companies do not become proactive, do not abide by the guidelines that we want them to abide by, in such cases, again I'm talking only in the context of hoax call threats or bomb threats. In such cases, we shall simply remove the protection that we are providing and we shall hold them liable. That is the first measure that they're considering. Second measure that they're considering is to basically make certain changes to certain guidelines or the laws. For example, the Civil Aviation Minister pointed out that we will make amendments, we'll make changes to aircraft security rules and amendments to suppression of unlawful acts against the safety of Civil Aviation Act of 1982. By making changes under these rules and act, Government of India now says we will basically add these people who are posting the hoax bomb threats as passengers within no-fly list. You must have heard of the no-fly list. Basically, once you are placed in the no-fly list for a certain time period, you will not be allowed to travel using the civil aviation route. You will not be allowed to sit in an aeroplane, purchase a ticket and travel using aeroplane services. Now, basic argument is government wants to make such changes. But many experts say the no-fly list is more effective for unruly passengers. And as of now, it is used only for unruly passengers who are basically creating disturbance, right, during the civil aviation services being provided. What is the point of bringing these particular, let's say, people who will, right, let's say, post the hoax threats? What is the point of putting them in the no-fly list? In fact, many experts have pointed out that one of the issues why this kind of a threat is not treated very severely in case of India is the absence of single provision to handle such cases. I'll repeat the statement, is because of the absence of single law which has a provision to handle such cases. Generally, if you're found to be involved in, right, giving hoax threats like this, in many of the cases, the people have been booked under Indian Penal Code, which is Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita now. Unlike many other countries, for example, many experts pointed out that why are we not emulating a model which is followed in other countries? In France, last year, similar thing happened. There were multiple number of hoax threats which basically disrupted the civil aviation market like it is disrupting in India. But in case of France, there were more than 20 investigations which were launched by the police personnel, or basically the security personnel there, and more than 18 arrests were conducted in a very short time period. So argument is, in many other countries, the security apparatus is much more stronger. Why are we not using the technology they are using? Why are we not having a separate provision or a separate law which will deal with all such cases? For example, in France, if you're caught, right, giving this or basically posting such hoax threats, there is a 3-year imprisonment as well as a fine of 45,000 euros is imposed. In USA, there is imprisonment of 5 years and also a $5,000 fine. In United Kingdom, the imprisonment is up to 6 months and also a £1,000 fine is imposed. Rather, in case of India, no such provision specifically dealing with people who are involved in hoax threats is present, and that is the reason many experts say people take it lightly and are involved in giving hoax threats. For example, many people who are caught, when they are caught giving such hoax threat, they'll basically say, I wanted to take revenge against a person. I was involved in, let's say, certain issue. I had an issue with another person. I wanted to settle the score. I wanted somebody to reach a place late, etc. These kind of trivial reasons are provided by the people who are caught after giving hoax threat. So why not have a separate provision or a specific provision with very stringent penalty rather than simply putting a person on the no-fly list? So this is one of the way forward that has been recommended by many experts to contain this menace of hoax bomb threats. So this is what I wanted to discuss with you people regarding this topic of the hoax call threats, which has put the whole industry into a tailspin or into chaos. That's it from my side. Take care. If you're yet to subscribe to our YouTube channel, kindly do it now. Thank you. Have a great day.